Alright, disclaimer. This is a personal YouTube channel. Any views or opinions represented in this YouTube channel are personal and solely belong to me as the owner and do not represent those people, organizations, or institutions that I or may not be associated with in professional or personal capacity unless explicitly stated. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or any individual.
Why is it again that environmental policy making is important? So first off, because it ensures sustainable use and management of natural resources. So let me give you an example. I took this screenshot from ASEAN Briefing. This is actually a company that focuses on renewable energy. And this was posted recently, January 11, 2023. And they posted that the Philippines is actually open its door to foreign investors as long as the foreign investor will be investing on renewable energy projects. Example of on the exploration, development, and utilization of solar, wind, hydro, and ocean or tidal energy resources. And there is another, which is part of that news article. It indicated there that we actually have a lot of renewable energy in the Philippines that we can harvest. However, problem actually with that, the problem with renewable energy is it's a good one. It's a very sustainable way of harvesting energy. However, the problem with that is it's very expensive. It's literally very expensive. Let's just give you a certain example. We are familiar with the solar panels in the household that are being installed and that are being around the news recently, right? I hope you heard about that. The problem with that is, yes, definitely you can save electricity. That's not a question at all. Definitely you can save an electricity to that with that. However, problem is you will need around 500,000 to install, or maybe like around 300, 400 to 500,000 pesos to install those solar panels and have the wirings and for you to have the battery you can store the solar energy too. Definitely you can save electrical bill, like maybe your 10,000 will be turned into 500 peso at some point. However, the problem is the amount of money that you have to invest on a single payment, I would say. So the problem with that is the purchasing power of the Filipinos might not be able to afford that single payment of maybe around 500,000. Yes, you can save on you can definitely save on your electricity consumption, but if you are going to calculate that as to with the return of investment, it might take you a few years to get your return of investment. However, on my end, for example, if I can afford it, I would care less as to how much expensive it is because I I can afford it anyway. And basically, if we are going to put a value to the energy consumption from the energy from our grid, definitely I can be able to help in saving the earth per se. And putting a value to that would be more valuable. However, my problem is personally is I cannot afford it. So that's the problem with that's our problem in the Philippines, at least, maybe not in the other countries, but that's the problem in the Philippines because putting in plantations or putting in geothermal power plants or hydro power plants would be too expensive and might not and literally we need an investors to do that. So basically that's the problem with renewable energy. It's renewable, but installing it, maintaining it is quite expensive. But again, this is in the context of environmental policy, and this is in the context of as a Filipino citizen and being considering its purchasing power. But if we're gonna talk about environmental economics, that's another thing. Because literally in environmental economics, we can put values to all ecosystem services, and that would be too expensive, and putting a value to that, maybe you will opt for renewable energy. But we are talking about the possible or purchasing power of a Filipino, and I would say the average Filipino citizen might not be able to afford, for example, solar energy as a source of energy in their households. However, even if at some point we might not be able to afford that, Philippine per se, that's why we are opening our doors for investors. And our investors per se even can fully own the company. Because before, it should be co-owned, it should be owned by the government. At the same time, it should be at a certain percent owned by a foreign investor. But with the renewable energy, we open our doors for investors to that specific project. So the Department of Energy, or the DOE, of course, everybody wanted to go for renewable energy. And based on their roadmap, as they posted it to their official website, they actually posted a National Renewable Energy Program, or NREP, roadmap, in which you can see in the roadmap that as of today, we are somewhere in 2022. So basically, we are on 2020. And by 2025, they are actually targeting to have an additional hydro capacity of the hydroelectric capacity of our hydroelectric power plants to increase into 5,393. I would say megawatts, but I think that's million watts. Because if that's 5,000 megawatts, then that's actually quite little. I'm not quite sure with the units, but that's MW, so maybe that's million watts or megawatts. I'm not quite sure. If we're going to talk about 5,394 megawatt, that's actually quite a little. But basically, that's the target for 2023. And they are actually targeting that by 2025, it will be increased into 12,219 MW. So they are also targeting, as you can see in the roadmap, that they will be investing and targeting additional solar capacity of 284 that should be reached by 2030. So basically, hopefully by 2030, we will be using renewable energy. I think I have here in coming slides, which relates to what is really our source of energy in the Philippines. And you might be surprised that the source of our energy is actually coal. I think I included that in my slides, in the coming slides. So one of the importance as well in policymaking is it helps protect public health in the environment. I actually inputted here a screenshot on my Instagram. I took this photo in 2016, so that was a few years ago. This is in Marinduque. We had an excursion in Marinduque. We went to the mining sites and other areas in Marinduque. And if you're going to look at the pond, or you can say that, it's a lake. Just by looking at it, it's a lake per se. But actually, that's not a lake, but that is actually a tailing pond of a mining activity on that area a few years back. So maybe if this was in 2016, the mining activity stopped on that specific area maybe 2 years. So maybe like 2015 or 2014 in Marinduque. And this was posted as well in 2016. This is the one that I was talking about to you. Considered as basically, if you're gonna look at it, it's a lake. It's a lake before, but the mining activity turned it into a tailings pond. So tailings pond is actually where the wastewater of your mining activity would go to. So as you can see here, just by literally looking at it, you can see as to what is the effect of the mining activity in the certain area. And there were also a few complaints, not a few, but a lot of complaints from the community that because of this operation in Marinduque, they actually experienced a lot of diseases, skin diseases, which was basically found out to be related with the tailings pond in Marinduque. Well, personally, the group did not went directly to the tailings pond because we know it's contaminated and it's toxic. We just walk on to the certain areas in the tailings pond. I wasn't able to paste here a photo of the group, but it was kind of illogical at some point, and I would say, I don't know, crazy people. Not crazy. I'm sorry to say that. I would say I don't know where's the logic of it, because let me go back to the screenshot in my Instagram. This is an elevated area because when I took the selfie, it's an elevated area basically. Basically, in this area where I am standing, it's elevated. If we are going to go down to this hill, because if we're gonna look at here, it's quite obvious that this area is quite elevated, because as we know, water would go to the lowest part of a certain area, right? So this area are elevated. And then if we're gonna go down as to where I am standing from, there is, how can I explain this? As we go to the foot slope of this hill, the area where I'm standing, I took a selfie, and then if we're gonna trek down to the hill, it's crazy because on that foot slope of the hill, they actually build a high school building. So if you can only imagine, there is a high elevated area, and then going down to the foot slope of that area, they built a high school building. And if you are standing in the building, you can actually see the huge hill at the back of the high school building. And I don't know why they built that certain high school building just a few meters away from the foot slope of the hill, where if you're gonna think about it, there's a huge tendency that there is a possibility of a huge landslide at some point. Because basically this area where I am studying from is not a solid hill, but it's actually, I would say, a soil that was excavated from somewhere and then they put it there. So it's basically not a solid soil. Gintambak la ito ni Radida. So I'm not an engineer at all, but just by logic and just by common sense, I don't think it's quite good to build a certain building and then just a few meters away you can see the very high elevated mountain of soil that was excavated from another area. And then we actually asked that mayor of that certain municipality, I will not name names. Yeah, because there are actually a few municipalities in the Marinduque Island. When we asked the mayor as to why did they build the high school buildings on that specific area where they can actually find other areas in municipality where they can build the building. The reason of that was because it was funded by a certain politician, and that certain politician was one of the, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this, but let us say that certain politician supported the mining company. So he wanted to build a building, and then he wanted to put it near the mining area per se. I don't know what's the real objective of it. Yeah, but I think it was just not. So another importance of environmental policy making is it promotes responsible and sustainable development. An example of that would be, which is a very nice building. I think that's pronounced as Zillig building. This is in Makati. And it's actually a sustainable building where they actually harvest, or the main source of the building's energy is actually solar panels or solar energy. And at the same time, this certain building in Makati, they also have their own water treatment facility inside. And then they also even have centralized paper recycling facility inside the building. basically this addresses sustainable development and green buildings in the Philippines. However, of course, even though how sustainable it is expensive per se. But again, this could be a good model with the Philippine buildings here in our country to be considered as a model in how we build our buildings. You know, considering solar energy, considering water treatment facility inside the building itself, and having or using ventilation or air conditioning, which would base upon, for example, in this case, they can actually regulate their air conditioning from outside airflow. So if possibly the system could open its windows to integrate inflow of air, then that would save them basically energy for their electricity. So this is another example again of possible a good model of implementing or having a certain building that considers sustainable energy. Another importance of environmental policy or making environmental policy is it contributes to economic growth and development. Let me share to you this graph from the Philippine Statistics Authority. So this is the Philippine top 5 exports by commodity group. Basically, in 2022, and both in 2022 and 2021, one of our export products is actually electronic products, among others, where we export manufactured goods, we export cathodes, refined copper, we also export coconut oil, and other electrical or aircraft wirings. So ignition wiring set and other wiring sets used in vehicles, aircrafts, and ships. But basically, most of our exports focuses on electronic products. And since we are good with that, we are good with exporting, because we cannot actually, I am saying we are good at exporting electronic products because other countries are getting that from us, which means they like our products. However, at the same time, if we're going to think about electronic products, it entails, copper, nickel, at some point, and other minerals for us to produce, these electronic products. And I was able to read a certain article, news article, not scientific article, but I did not post it here because it came from maybe not nationally recognized, but they indicated in their news article that the Philippines is actually our number one export. They just indicated here, they group it based on commodity group, right? But if we're gonna go back to the raw materials that we export, we are actually exporting a lot of nickel and copper. Then maybe that's, the reason why there are a lot of mining activities in the Philippines, because we are exporting that nickel and copper. Which is, in this, let me share to you a news article from Philippine Star Global, which was recently posted February 2nd, 2023, where DNR engaging with various stakeholders on mining concerns. As I mentioned earlier in the outline, that stakeholders are always included in the key holders or key agents in policymaking. And in this specific news article, the DNR is actually hearing out concerns of the stakeholders of the mining activity in Cagayan de Oro. And as you can see, in photo alone, there are a lot of sedimentation, and I would say, I'm not quite sure if this is really mine tailings, if they do not have a water treatment plant at the other side of the mountain, that I cannot see. But basically, we can see the sedimentation that is pouring down on the ocean, on the specific bay or Pacific Ocean in Cagayan de Oro. And then maybe it coincides at some point, as a hypothesis, it coincides that with the raw materials that we are exporting, I guess then maybe we are really exporters of nickel and copper. And it coincides with, the different mining activities that are happening in the Philippines. And with that, again, it is important for us to have a certain environmental policy and law. And actually, we have a specific environmental law to that, which is the Philippine Mining Act, where in the coming units, we will be discussing that as well. So what is the connection between environmental policy making and natural resources?